Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking. This video is going to be very ranty and at times might get emotional. It's not the typical light-hearted content that I always have. And therefore, you may not actually want to watch this video. I'm making this video mostly to express myself based on specific circumstances that have occurred recently, and I'll get into those, but obviously the title is much broader than that, and I'll get to the reason why I've made this video public in a while. That being said, what on earth is up with the whole boys and girls divide? And I don't just mean, oh yeah, boys versus girls, half friendly competition or whatever, which, by the way, is just a bigger problem in itself. I just mean in general, like the gap between boys and girls is, and men and women obviously, is far greater than people think it actually is. And yes, here we go, yes, a cisgender, half-white male complaining about gender online, yes, of course, but this isn't like to call out to say, oh yeah, men are such an oppressed minority or whatever. This is to call out a double standard that has existed for so long, and people don't get why it affects me so much. Recently, I've been having several discussions about this, and people don't get why it grinds my gears to the extent that it actually does. So, I'm going to explain. I will reveal several anecdotes from my life, and I'll explain why things affect me in the way that they actually do. So to start off with, I guess I'll start in the earliest example I remember. This is one of my earliest memories ever, actually. Take your minds back to 2004, if indeed you existed back then, which most of you probably did not. I was 4 years old, and I was on a plane. And on that plane, of course, if you're a kid and you're very young, you get bored. So, of course, I had some toys there. What I would do for years going on planes, actually, I'd bring a couple of toys around. The toys that I happened to be using at that particular moment were Barbie dolls. And yeah, I bought those Barbie dolls at one point. I said, oh yeah, look, these look nice in a shop, and I got them myself. I didn't get them myself. I asked my mum to buy them for me, obviously, 4 years old, but yeah. You get the idea. It was my choice, I wanted to have them, I was playing with them, and it was fun. There was a boy who was in the seat in front of me, and he was crying. And, I'd seen this before, actually. There was one time I'd been on a plane before this, and I was crying my eyes out as well. So I decided to, hand him one of the Barbie dolls, to play with. And, he was very happy. He was over the moon. His mother was not. She proceeded to go on a rant, but partially to me, but mostly to my parents, to my mum in particular, about, the reasons why, oh yeah, it's a doll, he's a guy, it's just not done, or whatever. I don't remember the exact wording, and I don't really think I want to. But yeah, that was one of the first instances where I thought, something is up here. And people are thinking, oh yeah, well of course, guys can play with dolls or whatever, that's all fine. Yeah, but the thing is, that's getting to a bigger problem. But I guess the situation, looking back when I've talked about this with my mum, actually, she said that it might be due to the fact that, the mother might have been homophobic. This was 2004, and this was a flight going from the US, where homophobia is still prevalent today, much less, a good 15 years ago. So I guess it could be down to that if you play with dolls, you're gay. I don't know. But yeah, that was one of the first instances that got me thinking about how much of a difference there could be between boys and girls. And it was also the instance where I determined, thenceforth, that I hated the mere notion of that. I mean, most people know that I am very stubborn. Once I get an idea into my head, unless I am convinced otherwise by valid points, that is going to stick with me for an eternity, pretty much. So yeah, fast forward about a year, and I am now in, well, maybe kindergarten, yeah, or maybe the same year in preschool, kind of between those times. And people start talking about boys and girls, and how even like in queues, actually, or in lines as they would say, US, that if a boy and a girl were together in line, that they would pass germs onto each other. I was thinking, are these people sick? Do you know if they have germs? No. It was just the concept that boys and girls carried germs that somehow didn't affect them, but affected the other gender. I was the only person who saw that for the complete balderdash that was. I didn't think balderdash at the time. Again, 5, but still, the point remains that somehow this was sparking the origin of like boys and girls divide. And then for years after that I would see, everyone's saying, oh yeah, do boys versus girls or whatever in my elementary school. And maybe when I moved to Spain, it might have been the same, but sweet fortune that the ratio between boys and girls in our class was too high to make a divide 50-50. So yeah, but even in that secondary school, like not the secondary school, even that primary school actually, there was the 3 main groups. There was the footballers, who were, of course, were all boys, but that's another point. There was the role players, I was within those, and then there was the girls. I would sometimes fluctuate between the pair. There was sometimes people had after school activities, and it was only me and this other boy who ever entertained the notion of playing with the girls. I mean, I got told that I was dating this one girl just for sitting with her on the bus, and it just so happened there was those numbers. We were just sitting having a normal conversation, like civilized human beings would do. But no, everyone was like, es su amorcito, which means she's his little love, or he's her, depending on who that was said to. But yeah. At this point, it wasn't really affecting me that much, apart from like being a minor annoyance. I didn't, but it was when I kind of moved to the UK that it became more of an issue to me. Joining Surrey Youth Theatre, I was the only boy for years. I've said this before in a different video. At this point, I'm 12. So, very much this is where people say, the formation of how your brain works truly kicks in. And yeah, I was just there to do some theatre, have some fun, act. That's what I've been doing for 2 years up to that point. So why not carry that on? And I did, but I noticed that in that first year, there was a massive divide. There was also an age gap, but that got worked past pretty quickly. But yeah, sometimes there would be times when we have to hold hands in a circle, like to play the game of Pulse, for example, and everyone else would pull away from me. And one girl flat out said to me that I can't hold your hand because you're a boy. Not with those exact words, but something along those lines. It was one of those moments that I just felt like I could do nothing about that. That, just, something wrong with me, for being a boy. This is where it first started to really irk at me. It didn't help that as the school years went by, that most of the guys in my year started to bully me. Verbally, I wasn't like beaten up or anything. I mean, I was taller than most of them, so maybe they didn't want to go down that route, but I didn't fit in with the particular type of guy that everyone was thinking of, and therefore they acted out against me. So yeah, I mean, that's when most of my friends started to become female. You know, the people that I would bond with. There was obviously my one friendship group with, you know, people like Leon Tuxina, Phoenix Diamondite, Everlasting Natural, Brandon, Jenny. You know, those people that, you know, we just all came together as a group. Like, you know, regardless of whoever we were, we were all friends. But yeah, they weren't in my year group. So in my year group, I ended up mostly talking to the girls, which was brilliant. I mean, even in the US back in the day, my best friend was someone called Caroline. Not the Caroline that I know currently, but a different one. And there was also her other best friend, Gabrielle. And, you know, that was fine. People thought that I had a crush on her, obviously. I'm backtracking a bit. I thought, oh yeah, do you love Caroline or something? Yeah, but no, it wasn't like that at all. That kind of mirrors my interactions with Sophie, actually. You know, even in the comments on the video that I did with her, is that your girlfriend? No, she's not. I missed out something. I was going to talk about something else in between those times. Something about Sorry Youth Theatre. Ah, yes. Like I said, I'm very stubborn. So, you know, it wasn't like I was going to leave Sorry Youth Theatre. I mean, I was the oldest member for 6 years running. So I was there for 6 years running. But yeah, they eventually, as I started, you know, just interacting with them more and more, you know, getting to actually know them, what makes them tick, whatever, they end up all becoming little sisters to me, and as the boys, little brothers as well. It was something that, you know, it just became a family unit. They all looked up to me as an older brother figure, and I really liked that. You know, if I hadn't gotten to that point, if I just quit from then onwards and then just gone, oh yeah, well, I'm a boy, I'm just gonna stick to myself, I don't know what would have happened. There was at one point one boy who came to Sorry Youth Theatre in later years and got paired up with me to, you know, kind of show him the ropes. I think partly because he was the only boy of that particular age group, because by this point the Sorry Theatre is split into age groups. So yeah, and the other one was me. Eventually, it didn't matter. I mean, he's still there currently. Another example of stubbornness is going back to Sophie. There was a time when we were in ICT together, which stands for Information Communication Technology, so basically computing class, and we were there trying to, you know, start conversation or whatever. I'd known Sophie for years at this point, but we'd never been like the closest of friends or whatever. There was also Crystal and I think Charlotte as well joined in, and they all pretty much, you know, had their own code as well. Oh, there was Ben too, but mostly it was between Sophie and Crystal where I noticed that, you know, they'd be talking about some very heavy stuff, mostly to do with guys, and they didn't trust me enough to confide in me with that. I'm not going to say this only because I'm a guy, but also because I didn't know them entirely too well. This is an example actually not of a whole gender thing, but also just because, you know, they didn't know me. But if they had been like that, if Sophie had considered that the fact that confiding in a guy about boy problems that she'd had would be an issue, she wouldn't have become my best friend today. And I'm so glad that she didn't. And, you know, it was for that reason that when I went around to sixth form, I started hanging out with her a lot more, because that other group that I was talking about before, they're all younger than me, so I moved to sixth form and they obviously stayed in secondary school. So yeah, when I was around with Sophie, she was, by this point, you know, after me being very insistent and perseverant, which I'm sure that some people can relate to this day, we ended up confiding in each other about everything, pretty much. I mean, she's told me things that I'm not going to repeat here, but that no one else, at least at the time, knew. And that made me feel so great that someone was willing to confide in me to that extent and not care that I'm a guy. So, whenever Sophie wasn't around and I was there with another group of sixth form people from that school that I came from before, it was a massive group of mostly girls. They kept on adding to each other, and for the most part, it was brilliant. You would just have a laugh, eat our food. It was all wonderful. But then came the moments when it became clear that this was a different interaction to the one that I had with Surrey Youth Theatre or even with Sophie. It was times when they would say things like, "Oh yeah, let's all get together, let's all go to someone's house, or let's all go out or meet up or something like that," and they specifically wouldn't invite me. They would say it to my face that they wouldn't invite me. The reason they gave, I'm sure you can guess what it was. They told this to me straight to my face, over and over again. And there was no amount of protesting that I could do that would make it seem different. It almost seemed like I wasn't part of that friendship group. I wasn't really part. The friendship was more of a formality. I just sat with them, ate my lunch, cracked a couple of jokes at their conversations, and then they carried on. Okay, sorry, I ran out of stories to record. Also, if you realise that the framing is very off, it's because I still haven't got the new holder for the tripod, so I can't actually use it. So I'm just laying this against my screen over there. Yeah, where did I get up to? Yeah, so being excluded from group activities. I'm glad I stopped when I did, because, I mean, honestly, that's like the part where I felt the most vulnerable. It was almost like all of these like nagging fears that I'd had ever since I was 4 about, being treated differently because of my gender, that I just ended up finally realizing that there was something there that just couldn't be shifted in that moment. And I would try and try and try, and I was nag and nag and nag about it. But no, they'd always just say, "Do you understand?" I'd say, "Well, I understand, I just think it's utterly ridiculous." See, the thing is, if this happened the other way around, if, for example, that there was a woman, say, for example, this happened, I don't know, like in the workplace or whatever, and she wasn't allowed to get a certain job or whatever because she was a woman, people would complain. Let's take that back a few notches. If there's a group activity and someone gets excluded for being a woman, she would complain. It was just a guy activity, and she really wanted to take part. Like, you see these stories about, like for example, Bend It Like Beckham, I don't know, where this woman is being discriminated against for trying to be a footballer or soccer player if you're American. Even William Shakespeare was calling this out 400 years ago, and I have proof of this. So, let's go. I marked the page. This is from Macbeth, Act 2, Scene 3. So, the line before it is, "What's the business that such a hideous trumpet calls to parley the sleepers of this house? Speak, speak." That's from Lady Macbeth. In reference, the king has just been murdered. To which Macduff, one of the thanes, replies, "O gentle lady, 'tis not for you to hear what I can speak. The repetition in a woman's ear would murder as it fell." Translation from Shakespearean: I can't tell you this, you're a woman. Imagine that today. Imagine if someone said that today. What would the reaction be? People would be offended, people would be shocked, people would complain. So you see, there's a double standard here, that certain things can only be discussed among women versus certain things being discussed among men. And yes, maybe you might say, for example, oh yeah, but Shakespeare was, 400 years ago, that was the norm back then. Yeah, he's a theatre practitioner, he's challenging the norm. If you don't know the story of Macbeth, Lady Macbeth planned the murder of the king. She knows of the murder already. She knows exactly what's happened. She orchestrated the event. So as you see, it's not like she's exactly the damsel in distress in this situation. So, yeah, you can imagine how I felt in that moment where basically I had to leave that scenario, go to my lesson, and feel like there was something wrong with me that I couldn't change. It's the same feeling as well when I would join choirs in the past. The first choir I joined in secondary school, I wanted to try and use my entire vocal range because I have fairly decent falsetto, and that's something that I'm really proud of. Like I remember I got a cold around Christmas 2016, and I was miserable because I'd lost that part. I couldn't access those notes, and I just felt terrible. This is partly because when my voice broke and I hit puberty, I really went through a tough spot because I really liked singing high notes, and that's what I still like to this day. Yeah, the first choir I joined, I got told, oh yeah, you can't sing that high, it will damage your voice. You know what else damages your voice? Singing in general. If not done properly, if your voice isn't looked after, you'll damage it. Duh. I understand maybe you'll damage it more or something, or whatever the extent is. I haven't looked into the science of this, but nor do I want to. Just let me do my thing. The second choir I joined, also in sixth form, I was perfectly allowed. Both choir teachers allowed me to sing in the soprano section, and I really enjoyed that. It was where I shone the most, and yeah, there was even a moment, the Mariah Carey song, All I Want for Christmas Is You? There were 4 of us who could access that one note that you're all thinking of. I was one of the 4. I'm not trying to show off here, I'm just trying to say that I can prove, if needs be, that I can sing that high in a choir. And then recently, when I joined the choir, when we started doing choir work here at university, I haven't joined the actual choir, but that's another story. The first week, the guy just said to me, he said to everyone, first of all, get into the sections that you feel most comfortable in. The phrasing there is the section you feel most comfortable in. Granted, a few people didn't know what sections there were, but I knew for definite, and I stood with the sopranos, tall and proud. I did not care. I got looks from people, obviously, but I did not care. Apparently he did, because he then went on about, natural voices or whatever, and putting me in the tenor section, and would insist and wouldn't conduct anything until I went there. So I did. And for the rest of the lesson, I was utterly furious. And I demonstrated that. I wasn't just going, oh, yes, sir, okay, I'll stay here and go, oh, No, I was genuinely mad, and I showed that in my face across the entire lesson. I guess that kind of worked, because, lo and behold, the next lesson we had, I asked him, can I please sing in the soprano section this week? And he said, yes, you can. And then he has the nerve to go on and say, oh yeah, whatever section you're comfortable with, addressing the group again, sing wherever, I don't care. Well, clearly you do care, otherwise you wouldn't have moved me in the first place. One thing I can't stand is hypocrisy. And that's what I get sometimes, hypocrisy. In these situations, people don't address the double standard that they're presenting. That's the main point of this video, addressing the double standard. And also because, I've held on to this for 15 years now. It's been in the back of my mind. I just need to say things. So yeah, there are times that I felt awful, genuinely awful, and there was nothing that I could do about it. There was also things that happened like a couple of days ago, or maybe within the past week. There's a particular Discord group, I'm not going to name the members in it. There's a particular Discord group that kind of brought this all to light, where basically two girls in it would particularly go off and not exactly tell us exactly what they were talking about. But it was, I don't care that, if people have things to say, normally I don't care if, you want to talk to a particular friend or something. But in this particular situation, we made that group and we call it the best friends. And that was the whole point, I guess, was trying to, get us all on the same playing field. It felt like we were all on the same playing field, always conversing, always talking to each other, always confiding when we need to. And then certain situations would arise where suddenly it became girl talk. And these particular girls, one in particular actually, that we promised where we would tell each other everything and try and feel comfortable with each other. The fact that even she could not tell me about these things without feeling uncomfortable, that's where it really got to me. That's why all of this has come up again. There were times in the past where I had considered for no longer than, a few seconds, like in the back of my head, or I don't know, I'd look at like a pair of scissors or a knife or something and then think about my manly parts. But no longer for a few seconds, but the fact is the thought was there. The thought was there that for some reason, like some preposterous part of me, like the completely illogical side of my brain, was thinking that, if that was gone, so would all of my issues. Obviously I didn't do that. I was never going to. It's just that thought circulated in my mind. And that's why when people say it's not a big deal, or that you have to understand or something, I just think back to that and it's like, no, you're the one who doesn't understand, okay? You're the one that I have to enter. You're the one I have to inform of these things. So from now on, if anyone ever says that to me, I will show them this video. If you've been sent to this video by me, you now know just to the extent that these things go to. Last night I was told, oh yeah, you've got to understand, girls talk to us about certain things, it's just the gossip. What? Just the gossip? Again, if you want to have an example, Sophie and I would gossip about her complicated love life for ages. We could spend entire lunchtimes, several back to back, just talking about this one guy and this one event, and then trying to figure out something from there. I mean, she would even ask me for advice about certain things, and I would provide that. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't, people make mistakes and stuff. But that's the thing. She tried. There was a particular moment in sixth form when I don't know if I should completely tell this story, but yeah, Sophie, I'm sorry, this is just the perfect example. When we were in an American Idiot rehearsal, and in that particular rehearsal, people were I guess, not encouraged, but they were given the option to wear more revealing clothing. And Sophie was one of those who took advantage of that opportunity. It fit with the aesthetic of the show. It wasn't like she was trying to show off or something. No, it fit with the aesthetic of the show, and she went for it. Makes perfect sense. And I saw at one point when we were all getting changed, and she was just she was looking around, trying to scan about. She was scanning about for girls to ask about whether she was even in the chess department. I was right there, and then she just turned around to me in that particular moment and said to me, "You know what? You're my best friend. Are my boobs even?" Genuinely, at that moment, my heart skipped a beat. It was like those moments in Surrey Youth Theatre when where I realised that they looked up to me as an older brother now. Sophie's actually older than me, so it wasn't like the same situation. But what I mean is that it got to the point where I felt like I was on an even playing field with someone. Like, I had a best friend. It didn't matter, we were different genders. And literally nothing was off the table. Genuinely, I didn't tell Sophie about this, but my heart skipped a beat at that point. And then, of course, I told her that, there was a bit of a tweaking to do. But yeah, we worked that through. And then I even actually tied up her shirt or whatever, and someone said to me, "Oh yeah, well, what are you doing, going up in her chest or whatever?" I'm tying the shirt, you did this before. So yeah, again, bit of a double standard there. But not in the case of Sophie. Yeah. That was 3 years ago, and I don't know if I've ever felt like someone has put me on that same pedestal ever since. Still to this day, most of my very close friends are female. Most of the people that I'm now interacting with, particularly in a drama course where it's mostly women anyway, are female. Again, makes sense. It's just what happens. Guys don't bully me anymore. Obviously, that was just a couple of years down the line. But yeah, I no longer care. I mean, I've been asked by girls that I'm in a relationship with, do you care about would you rather I have a girl best friend or a guy best friend? Why on earth would I care about that? A friend is a friend. People are people. That's just how it is. So, I encourage, the reason that I'm making this video public, and I'm not just addressing it to certain people. It'd be very easy for me to address individual people and just give this to them. But the reason I'm making this public, partly to make it vague so they can apply to any scenario in the future, is because whenever somebody watching this video, if you, partly if you want to, prove me wrong or something, or tell me something else, then that might want me to make me sway my mind, you're free to do so. But also, remember that if you think you've got a piece of good gossip, bit of a tea to spill, and you only got your guy friends around, and you don't want to tell them because they're a guy, just think of me in the back of your head. Remember that that can happen, and remember that a friend is a friend, no matter what. And regardless of gender, they'll stick by you. On that note, until next time,